ഇല്ലായോ? നോക്കിയോ? ഇല്ല, നോക്കിയോ? പിന്നെ വിളിക്കാം. ഹരി ഓം. ഹരി ഓം. ഹരി ഓം. Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om. Sri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om. Shri 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 Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Hari Om to everybody.
Hari Om Swamiji. Hari Om Swamiji.
Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. Yes. What should be the topic today? You can sit down. What is the topic?
Extreme at the feet of God has been just noted by Swamiji. Points to ponder.
Points to ponder. Oh, extremes and points to ponder. Okay. If we go through those words, what we may be doing unknowingly is the academic exercise. But the real purpose is to rise beyond that. At the moment, we are not rising beyond that. So when we read something, what happens in us is we try to get stuck with that expression and then try to analyze the whole thing intellectually. It will give us some thrill, no doubt. But as soon as the session is over, in what way it helps? So whenever we hear about the word extremes, we try to understand that we are in a position to define the extreme only when we try to detach ourselves from it. Heat and cold. If I am in the heat, I will not be able to explain. If I am in the cold, I will not be able to explain. So when somebody has experienced both heat and cold, that person can say, yeah, that both originate from me. I am defining it as heat, I am defining it as cold under a different particular context. But I am there, witnessing. Like that, when we try to understand the extreme, it might be helpful. Otherwise, it is purely an intellectual journey. No doubt, it has got its own charm. We will read a few, then let's see how far we are. Extremes. A saint's heart is the hardest, but at the same time the softest. The greatest anguish and the greatest pleasure are the same in their effects. The height of wisdom and the height of madness meet. Emptiness is always full. The weakest is the strongest, for example, a child. The most dazzling light in pitch darkness, the most dazzling light is pitch darkness to the eyes. The most elevated position for man is the lowest situation. The greatest love is synonymous with the greatest cruelty. Simplicity is profundity. Victory is defeat. Tears flow through happiness as well as sorrow. The deepest pit produces the greatest height. The greatest speed is the condition of perfect trust. The softest thing is the hardest to break. The fairest object is the ugliest evil. The highest mountain peak determines the lowest depth. Courage springs from fear. Perfect consciousness is perfect unconsciousness. A piece of ice and a red-hot cinder on hand produce similar sensation. A bosom friend is a bosom enemy and vice versa. The most valuable diamond is worthless carbon. The greatest honor is tantamount to the greatest disgrace. The dearest object causes the greatest pain. The richest is always the poorest, and the poorest is the richest. The humblest is one is most conscious of his worth. Death is life. Birth is destruction. Annihilation is existence. Harmony is chaos. Being is non-being. Ram, Ram, Ram is above all these. Every visit of death makes you think of a deathless state. Every pang of pain wakes you up to the state of endless bliss. Every attack of anxiety reveals to you a state of everlasting peace. Every sight of evil gives rise in you to a knowledge of absolute goodness. Every feeling of weakness makes you conscious of inexhaustible strength. Every touch of impurity reveals to you a state of perfect purity. Every tie of bondage drives you to realize the state of eternal freedom. Every blinding darkness opens up to you the outlook of a breaker's day. Every puzzling diversity reminds you of all the all comprehending unity. Every sight of chaos takes you to the ideal of a perfect harmony. Every experience of hatred draws you to the recognition of an eternal absorbing love. Every scene of destruction strikes in you a faith in the existence of imperishable. Now, when we just go through that, some may be a little clear, but we just try to go to the origin, genesis of these extremes, please. It is same only when we detach ourselves and see. When I am in darkness, a lady who was all right like all of us, suddenly she lost her eyesight. And her son asked her, "What do you see now? Darkness?" She said, "No, light." Subrado Bakshi's mother. So she sees only light. So the light that she has experienced, it is there eternally with her. So apparently, normally we all feel, she will be dark. No. And even now, when we close our eyes, we see the light. So ultimately, how does it help us in our spiritual journey? That is important. When you say emptiness is fullness, emptiness of all the contents makes the container always full. It is free. Emptiness of the contents of the container makes always the cup full, container full. You can pour anything into it. So it should become empty when you pour something. That particular one word. So emptiness is my original nature. During my deep sleep, I experience that, bereft of all thoughts. Because thoughts are not there, I am free from all its plus or minus reactions, positive or negative reactions. The moment I step into the dream or the waking state, it is full of thoughts. Now I realize, because it is empty, all these things can go there. So my original nature is that great void, that great emptiness. It might help me in my spiritual progress. Like that, whatever the Mahatma has said, if we try to understand, it is for my spiritual progress, because he has not given it just because it should give some thrill to our intellect. No. The purpose was, in his spiritual journey, he was able to visualize everything Normally we term it as extreme as one and the same. So we may not be able to take everything. We pick and choose and then try to understand, relate it to our spiritual journey, and then find an answer. Otherwise, the mind has got a tendency to get stuck with any of these, and then we lose the purpose for which it has been given in at the feet of God. At the feet of God, that is the text. At the feet of God, all these extremes are equal. The mind at the moment it is tensed up. After some time, the mind is full of joy. Think. The mind is full of joy at this moment. After time, it gets totally tensed up. Think. You'll know. Let us not limit our reference to this particular one. This at the feet of God, where He has touched upon everything. We infer, we are not very sure about this, we infer that after his first yatra and second yatra, even after probably in quest of God, in the vision of God, whatever that the thoughts welled up, especially in the form of soliloquy, talking to him. Apparently there is nobody else, but he was talking to that power for the sake of all of us. He has named as Mother, and it's a dialogue between the sadhaka and the Almighty. He has put it in that form. And the questions are very, very valid throughout our lifetime. First, he brings about some poems in that book. Then this question answer starts. No other reference is available with us, excepting the date of the preface written by Elizabeth Sharpe, 31st January 1927. Ramdas himself has honored me by asking me to write a preface to his book. If one were asked what the whole world or a man was seeking, one could answer truthfully, happiness. Ramdas has found that happiness, that intense, never-fading joy, that perfect bliss which comes from God realization. She writes, I have watched him sunk in this bliss. I know it is no pose. I see the wonder, and have listened to the secret. It lies in these fragments he has written, but it lies more in pure human heart if it will open itself to God. Ramdas stands out in our desert life, like those little white flowers that grow in isolated clumps in sandy deserts. And we too wish to know from what unknown source comes this sweetness, that we may also drink from the deep hidden nourishment. The source is devotion to God, by whatever name you choose to call him. Devotion to him and his glorious name. This is Ramdas's creed. He has no other. Hindu, Muslim, Christian have stood abased before his gentleness. He is loved alike by one and all. He loves all equally. Still I hear the refrain of his voice, singing always, Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. And the silent hills of Mount Abu seem to take up the refrain. Simple, childlike Ramdas, of such is truly the kingdom of heaven. Sri Krishna Nivas, Limbadi. We have to do some research and then find out more about how this book was brought out.
Swamiji, in the vision of God, no? There is a reference how Papa wrote about it.
What is that?
It is in Battle of Elements.
Eh?
In the vision of God.
In the vision of God. 1 minute, 1 minute.
Battle of Elements.
1 minute, 1 minute. Where was that? No?
Battle of Elements.
Battle of Elements. Where was that? Where did it happen?
Two paragraphs.
Kudlu.
Second paragraph.
No, Kudlu.
Kudlu come down.
Kudlu is a countryside 2 miles to the north of Kasargod. Ramdas was lodged in a tiled house of 3 rooms on the slope of valley, above which was an extensive uninhabited plateau. Okay. Then in the right earnest, started practice pranayama. Okay. These experiments in diet. Okay. It was the will of Lord that Ramdas should also gain the experience of pranayama. A mode of mind control prescribed by the great sage Patanjali, his disciple. Okay. Not all Papa has tried. On another occasion, he unconsciously directed his steps toward the seaside, which lay about 1.5 miles from the retreat. He had to pass through a small village when he was walking. Okay, he continued. In the blissful and undisturbed retreat, insects and birds freely gave Ramdas the joy of their society. They would unhesitatingly enter the rooms and play about fearlessly. They seemed to have instinctively understood that he was their friend. Surely for Ramdas, they were manifestations of the great truth he adored. At this place, as inspired by Lord, he composed some poems, prayers, and essays. These have already been published in the book At the Feet of God. That is the only place, huh? Mother Elizabeth got copies of the second booklet At the Feet of God, in the publication of which she had helped, to which she had written a loving foreword and desired that Ramdas should present them to the ladies. Okay. Well, she must have sponsored it. After sundry talks about the ways at Sabarmati Ashram, which was recently visited by Dr. P, during which Ramdas played the role of a silent listener, he had a short conversation with Miss Krause. This young lady had adopted Jainism, had spent many long hours in Mount Abu in rigorous austerities. She was simple and childlike in her manners. Dressed in plain clothes, she was frank, cheerful, and unsophisticated. She glanced over the pages of At the Feet of God. I do not agree with you, Ramdas, in your articles of faith. I believe that by Purushartha, by steady and severe discipline alone, can the contaminated and imprisoned Atman be purified and liberated. I do not believe in the theory of pristine, eternal purity and the freedom of the soul, with ignorance only as a cloud over it. And also, I do not believe that the mere removal of the cloud means realization of immortality. So Papa said, you may approach the truth, Mother, in whatever way you like. The question simply is, which is the easiest and quickest path that takes you to the goal? There also, Papa does not insist, at the feet of Ramdas. So that's all. Nothing else. So in Kudlu, he composed, he did not say all these. I think probably in some other book I have heard about some prayers and essays. They have already been published in the book, At the Feet of God. Anyway, we have to do some research. That much on this. Anything else? The most important aspect we consider in it, everything is important, but the dialogue between him and the mother. That is very, very interesting for a sadhaka. Talks with the mother and a solution of the child's difficulties. What is the goal? Question answer, question answer. To attain Ram. What is self-surrender? Resignation to the will of God. How can we attain this? By continued remembrance of God. What is Ram? Ram, he is at once light, love and bliss. He is the only eternal truth. Where can we seek him? Seek and find him in ourselves and in the whole universe about us. God has manifested himself as the universe, the one supreme Paramatman, who is by nature formless, without qualities, ever existent. He has assumed the variety of forms that we see in the universe. Let us see him in all things and beings as the one imperishable reality. What is the result of surrender? Like that it goes on. In what way is going to help us? We stop and try to find out the meaning. We don't mean the literal meaning. Literal meaning, everybody must be knowing it. The simple English. But the thematic, what does it bring it out? What is it that touches in our heart when we hear that word? In that way we should go. Otherwise, there is no use. And yes, today one more thing we wanted to share with you all, very important thing, that in our spiritual journey, why not we try to recognize the truth? That this power, God, has been with this person, individuality, right from the seed stage. Think about it. At that time, our body, mind, intellect, equipment did not have anything that we are now doing, So even in the absence of all these so-called labeled spiritual disciplines, that power has been with us, God has been with us. And now what are we doing? We are trying to recognize his presence. When we try to recognize his presence, suddenly it becomes clear to us that whatever sadhana we have named it, it has a limited purpose. Because even in the absence of these sadhana, he has been with us, If it was a precondition, then we should undergo all those things. But suddenly we realize he has been with us even now without any of these things. That is why probably they named it as realization, not acquiring. He is there, I have not realized. If this awareness wells up, we will always be concentrating on the goal to be scaled even while we are involved in any spiritual journey. Otherwise, there is every risk of getting stuck with the way, stuck with the sadhana. We don't know how far we have made it clear. God the Almighty has been with us because we know in this connection there is an article by Nisargadatta Maharaj. Very blunt letter. Nisargadatta Maharaj says, what are the essentials to which you consider as you? When I say I am, what are the essentials? Obviously the body. But this body that is now in its prime, healthy, strong, was once only a little drop or a speck of chemical matter when conception took place in your mother's womb. Think, did you do anything to be so conceived? The present me, the present me, which is arrogating every now and then that I am this, I have that, I will do this, I have done this, I have earned. This I, Maharaj is asking, did you do anything? Did this sense of individuality, the asserting I, do anything to be so conceived? Did you want to be conceived? Was there any option given to us? Were you consulted? It is still more blunt. Further, what is it that was latent in that tiny speck of matter which was conceived that caused it to grow into a fully developed body with the blood, flesh, marrow, bones, first in your mother's womb and thereafter in this world until it is now sitting before me discussing philosophy? The body has during its growth assumed various images which you have considered to be you of different times, at different times, but no single image has remained with you constantly. And yet there is something which has indeed remained without any change. Is that not your sense of being alive and present? The consciousness which gives sentience and energy to the psychosomatic apparatus known as the body. This consciousness is given various names: being, beingness, I amness, self, Atman, and also other names like Maya, God, love, etc. The world exists for you only if this consciousness is there. If you are not conscious, as in deep sleep, can the world exist for you? Now, do you get some idea of what it is that makes you instinctively think of yourself as you? This composite of the physical body, the life force, which is the active principle, and consciousness, which enabled the physical senses to cognize things. What you appear to be is the outer body. What you are is consciousness. So at this time at the seed level, the present me and mine is not there. No? It was not the deciding factor at all. It was not there, so it was not consulted. So God decided. Bijam Mam Sarvabhutanam. When God decided to give us, to express itself in the seed form, and He has been with me right from the seed stage up to this moment. Should I not direct my attention to this vital aspect even while He prompts me to do various spiritual disciplines? This approach might help us. Suppose we are observing Mauna session, it will help us in the normal days, probably in the normal time. It may not be possible for us to concentrate on this, the most subjective and subtlest aspect. That the power because of which I feel I exist has been with me right from the sweet level up to this moment. I have forgotten, I am trying to remember and realize His presence. It is for that purpose I am doing Ramnam. It is for that purpose I am doing bhajan. It is for that purpose I am trying to convert all my activities as an offering to Him. So whether I lead a grihastha life, a married life, or whether I lead a professional being, a life, whether I lead a social life, whether I lead an individual life, He is with me, He has been with me. And He is everything. Otherwise, He cannot be in everything. Any individual involved, he may even not evince interest in the so-called declared spiritual life. He may be an atheist. But now we realize God is there in equal measure in him also. Because the source we know just come from the same seed. So looking back again, I may be doing all these things, but I should know that he has been with me. I am only trying to recognize His existence. If this comes back to us, probably our sadhana will become a little more effective, a little more earnest. Because we are not searching for the God, we are not trying to know the God from any externals. I suddenly realize, intellectually first, that He has been with me. Now my whole thing, my whatever way I choose, or He makes me to choose, I go on, but keeping this in my mind, that it is not to gain anything, only to recognize the presence. Every day in the bhajan hall, we read that prayer, adorable presence. Sanidhyam, the presence that is there in us. Thou who art interpenetrating the very cells of our being, the eye of our eye, ear of our ear, heart of our heart, mind of our mind, breath of our breath, soul of our soul, all those things, Swami Omkarji Maharaj suddenly makes us to realize His presence within us. Every day when we read that, it must have some impact, because it is not something showing outside. Adorable presence. Mahat Sanidhyam. The Sanidhyam because of which I exist as an individual. It is the gift of that person that I am functioning as so and so. It is because of the gift of that power that I enjoy, or I am provided with everything that is needed through Mother Nature and society. Because right from our childhood, we have somehow conditioned our mind that God is in temple, God is outside, Guru is in our ashram, and we are back to square one, as if bereft of God and the Guru. But when we go to a spiritual saint, preceptor, he says God and Guru are within. We did not understand that word. Now, with this approach, that he has been with me in the form of, he has been with me right from my seed level. My parents were only the nimitta, the first cause. Papa names it as the first cause. That is very important. When he named it as first cause, that is very important. Please think about it. When we were conceived by our mother, we, the present me, was not consulted. This attests to the fact that the human birth was given to us, and based upon the karmic baggage we have brought forward from our previous birth, our body, mind, intellect complex was shaped. So we are not trying to know somebody who is outside. We have not so far recognized that he is within us. So all our sadhana, spiritual disciplines, they get a lift, Otherwise, in our mind, we may be while engaged in so many other thoughts come, accepting this. Probably that could be the reason why the realization is still delayed. This is very important for all of us. For the past 5 or 6 decades, many of us are carrying on with this disciplines. Though there have been progress in many ways, still the fundamental thing of realizing his presence is a distant reality. And then again we try to understand, how do I know that? How do I know that I have recognized him? First of all, the seeking stops. I become full. This is the best barometer, litmus test. If I am still seeking him, that means I have not still recognized that he is there in me. So all whatever we are doing, it all valid. None of us need to stop anything. But we are trying to bring another dimension also behind all our sadhana. For example, as votaries of Ramnam, we say we are chanting the name of the Lord, Ram, who has been with me right from my seed level up to this moment. When I do bhajan of a particular personal aspect of God, it is all right. Lord Krishna, for example, any Krishna bhajan, when I hear, somewhere in the corner of my mind I keep on repeating. I am chanting I'm doing bhajans of the Lord who has assumed a human form, and but he has been with me right from my seed level. When I am involved in various activities, family level, professional level, social activities, I try to bring this, that he has not only provided me with a sense of individuality and provided me with what all that is needed for my comfortable living, he has also provided the same thing in the form of the creation. When I am taking to inward journey, again I try to bring this. I am now concentrating on realizing the presence of Him who has been with me right from my seed stage. So only a dimension is being brought to all of us. We will not stop. We will pursue.
Swamiji.
Ah.
Now I understand why in Guru's grace, Mataji always said, even before she met Papa, she had written that Papa came in this form, Papa came in this form.
Everything is valid. Everything is valid. But unless and until we bring in this dimension, it is always incomplete, incomplete, incomplete. Because it is a search for Him outside, outside the mind, whereas the mind is activated by Him. In the Mauna session, these are all some of the points which help us. Suddenly you get, He is there, He has been with me. First a glimpse of His presence in the form of light, love, bliss, that particular word. In the form of consciousness. And then I am back to the individual consciousness. Again I try, again I try, again I try. That is why Mataji introduced, we feel now, that is why Mataji introduced these two prayers, One is the adorable presence and the other is universal prayer. In me, around me, Make me feel thy constant fellowship in me, and we have to reread the whole thing now. We have been chanting, we have been repeating, The first one is prayer for world peace. It is directly taking us to the presence. And then we are adoring Him in the form of some creator, protector and destroyer. Because the creation, including me, all creations, including me, are subject to these three: creation, preservation and destruction. So Papa introduces through that universal prayer. You gave me a sense of individuality. Now you have made me known that you have given me that. So I come in all humility. Previously, bereft of your thought, I thought I was independent. I realize now that you are the creator, protector and destroyer. So I come in all humility to thy holy feet and surrender myself entirely to thee. At that particular moment of invoking, we are surrendering. As an individual, we have not surrendered. So Mataji wanted every day to have these two planes of experience. You are sincere when you say that I have entirely dedicated my love to thee and to thy service. Surrender myself entirely to thee. But immediately after that, but 1 second, you are back to your sense of individuality. Then you find you have not surrendered anything to her. So these two prayers, if we try to concentrate word by word, we might probably speed up our journey to the realization. Now it is just...
Hari Om Swamiji.
Yes.
Swamiji, this is a beautiful dimension. Swamiji, this is a beautiful perspective and dimension you have added, Swamiji. As you were saying this thought is so very comforting that God has been with me all through. Probably, I don't know. I don't know even now, but I feel now that He has been all through with me.
Yeah, correct.
And Swamiji, when I was thinking about this comforting thought, I realized that in the corporate world, Swamiji, there are lots of words that float around like self-awareness, self-confidence. And then I would think to myself, how to develop this self-confidence? But there in the corporate trainings, people they teach different techniques and all. But as I was thinking, as you were speaking, Swamiji, I realized that the self confidence, the self is God, and when the God is with me,
Correct.
that is what is self confidence.
Correct.
And when I thought that, I mean, this Swamiji is right now saying that God has been there with me, is in the present, past, and future also, He is going to be there with me. I mean, every time we are surrounded by God, Swamiji, this thought is so comforting. I'm like, probably this is the confidence that I was looking for all my life, Swamiji.
Quite right. And this is not a theory or a philosophy, no?
Yes, Swamiji.
It is the blunt truth.
Blunt truth, exactly, Swamiji. In fact, in the corporate, we do all those theories and stuff, but here in the spiritual life, Swamiji, it's like going deeper and actually facing the reality, Swamiji. So, yes.
Keep on thinking, because this is the reality about which somehow He made us to become unaware.
Yes, Swamiji.
And now He is slowly opening up. He is trying to enable us to open up the aperture inside so that we get a glimpse. Our notion about ourselves is so thick, it will not easily accept. When Papa was asked many a time, why don't you give us realization? One day Papa in Bhajan Hall immediately said, yes, Ramdas is ready to give. Who is prepared to take? 3 minutes he gave. The only condition he said, you should drop everything. Whatever you have, you should drop everything. The entire audience who were asking they were asking sincerely. They were asking umpteen number of times that why don't you lift us up? Why don't you make us to realize all those things? We all do that. We have never understood this. So when Papa said, give up everything, not that they don't want to realize, giving up is the problem. Again, you go through that, now it becomes very clear. You will realize your reality only when you remove what you have been hugging, labeling it as yours. So in one go, it may not be possible. Only rare or the rarest can do that. So what do people like us do? So we keep it in our mind, we steadily progress, try to slowly give up one by one, replace it with replace it with this oft-repeated true words that He is with me, He has been with me, He is with me, He has been with me. Again we are back. We may assume the doership, enjoyership, sufferership. Again we try. So so that what has been accumulated, it is slowly it is reduced. And when it reaches the rock bottom, called the basic requirement of a body, all other appendages are slowly taken out. In the other quotation the other day we read, spiritual nakedness of the soul. As we came, spiritual nakedness of the soul, it was without any prefix or suffix. When it was in the seed stage, we go back. Puja Swamiji used to say that back home. Eh?
Real home. Real home.
Real home.
Real home.
Well, nice. We here now. He said it's a trip back to our real home. And he also used the word, we have to remove everything. So now probably the sadhana is becoming clearer to us. That first thing is, what we are trying to realize, what we are trying to attain is not something to be attained, but only to be realized, who has been with us right from the seed stage up to this moment. And what is preventing me to know that? My own heaps and heaps of baggages in the form of likes and dislikes, rights and wrongs, preferences, priorities, cravings, infatuation, attachment, possessiveness. Everybody will know that. What is. So I have to remove one by one by one by one. In certain cases, God may bless us to in one go. It is possible. In others, it takes some time. But at least let us be very clear. And what is the sign of my making progress? The sign of my making progress is slowly I am trying to realize Him. It glimpses away. And so the seeking outside stops and seeking inside gets hastened. Again, coming back to Mauna session facilitates for this speedy realization. Because during the day, we don't accumulate anything fresh. All our senses are under control. Maybe roaming, mind may be roaming here and there, but all these five senses are, which have been accumulating, so many stimuli from sense objects. It is stopped. You get a holiday, and then in that, you are trying to go, and this comes. You have been with me, I am not aware. Why don't you make me aware? What should I do to that? So this, just like Papa talked to his mother, like that, at the feet of God, we also talk to Him. We develop a relationship with Him. The tangible gain is we recognize that He is there within me. So this is a very important point in our spiritual journey. Why do they say realization? Realizing of what we already have. Not that I want to acquire something. We may be involved in so many things. Household activities, professional activities, social activities. But all through this we can keep on nurturing this. You have been with me, you are with me, you are with me, you have been with me. You make me unaware of your presence, please make me aware of your presence. I know that I'm trying to put all attributes of an object to you, that is why it's not becoming clear. So enable me to remove all the attributes that I have posed on you. Objective. Whatever I have seen, whatever I have heard, whatever I have touched, whatever I have smelt, whatever I have tasted, based upon that, I have given some, these are called the attributes I can feel. And so I know now, you are the power behind all these things. Please enable me to realize that. I know, I have realized, because without that, this will not function. But the next moment, that realization gets a mask of ignorance. I become again unaware. I realize, I know. I realize, I don't realize. I realize, I don't realize. So this goes on for some time. And then one day, the curtain going will slowly stop. So let us try to add this dimension in our Ramnam chanting, in our bhajan, in our satsang, in our going through the text. dealing with men and matters at the family level, professional level, social level. Let this be there in our subconscious state. He is there, he has been there, he is there. Yeah. Without him, I don't exist. That much we'll do today. If anything more Papa prompt, we will have it one day after tomorrow. Hari Om. Om Shri Ram. Jai Ram. Jai Jai Ram. 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 Om. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om.
Hari Om Swamiji.
Hari Om, Hari Om.
Pranam Swamiji.
Pranam, pranam, pranam.
Hari Om, Pranam Swamiji.
Hari Om, Hari Om.
Pranam Swamiji.
Pranam, 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 pranam.
Pranam
Pranam, pranam.
Pranam to one and all.
Oh, one and all. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om.
Hari Om, Hari Om.
Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram.